And finally, I would like to introduce Jeff Galea, who's the Executive Creative Director of Room 4 Media in Colombia, and he is going to provide us tips for marketing and platform localization in the marketing and mobile space. Jeff, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here. My name is Jeff Galea, and I'm the founder and CEO of Room 4 Media. Room 4 Media, we are a video marketing agency, and we're on a mission to help businesses across the globe connect and communicate more effectively with their audience using video. We offer three main services, which are video marketing, video content production, and also video technology. And in this short time that we have, I'm going to give you some tips based on my experience coming from a foreign country and setting my own business in Colombia, right? And I'm going to give you these tips, which you could use to get your marketing strategy sorted and eventually launch them in a successful manner. Okay, so let's talk a bit about platforms and technologies. The majority of Colombians, right? They have access to good broadband. Mobile internet is on the rise, and this is changing the way companies are marketing themselves. 58% of the Colombian population, they're frequent internet users. 70% have smartphones, and it's good to know that 85% of those have Androids. There's a big opportunity in e-commerce. It's on the rise. So if you've got an e-commerce business, you've got a great opportunity over here, especially when targeting the younger generation. Facebook is the main social media platform. 53% of the Colombia's population are on Facebook. For online advertising, I would say that Google and Facebook ads are relatively cheap compared to North America and Europe. The click-through rates, we have found out on the campaigns that we run that they're pretty high, maybe because there's not so much competition. So that's on Google, on YouTube, on Facebook, right? The ads are for cost per acquisition is relatively low. And so another fact, which is very important, is that the male audience tend to consume video much more than females, and they're more into entertaining content. Now, I would like to present to you some how-to tips. So what I would first suggest is in any marketing campaign, research carefully where your target audience hangs out in the digital space. As the previous presenter had mentioned, it is very important to adapt all your marketing material and campaigns. They need to be in Spanish of Colombia, right? One thing to keep in mind is that only 2 million of Colombia's population speaks in English, okay? It's fine to have some buzzwords and taglines in English. One thing to keep in mind also is that Colombians shop around, so you need to make sure that you've got marketing materials prepared for all stages of your prospect's buyer's journey. Price is a priority determining factor. So you need to make sure that you've got all your pricing and what you're offering, that all this information needs to be clear and it could easily be understood. Colombians look for references, so make sure that you've got some kind of referral programs, you know. And also what I would suggest, and this is what we have done several times over here, is to organize focus groups to validate whatever you are offering. That can be a product or a service. Some challenges to watch out for from our experience. Colombians do not really fully trust website contact forms. Because they are kind of concerned that they won't get a reply back, or they get a reply in, let's say, 2 days. So they are likely to call afterwards. So let's say that you have a landing page. It is very important that you have your contact form, and then you have a phone number that prospects could call to. For business-to-business marketing, do not be surprised that inquiries come from non-corporate email addresses. Regarding e-commerce, we have to keep in mind that some payment gateways are relatively high, right? And also, not all international global payment gateways are available in Colombia, right? So let's say, like for example, PayPal is not available. If you want to be a merchant, if you want to sell your services. Mobile internet is relatively accessible. However, in rural areas, generally you get only a 3G signal. So if you're doing video marketing campaigns, you have to be careful. Exactly like if your audience is in the city, then they could stream adverts really well. But if your audience lives in rural areas, you would need to test things out to see if they're watching all the video content, or there's a drop off, let's say after a couple of seconds. And one last thing that you have to be careful of is that it happens in many countries, but successful campaigns are likely to be copied. So you need to be always in the lead and dominate your market, and also always reinventing yourselves. Some final tips. This depends on the type of product or services that you are planning to offer. If you've got a product that you would like to reach a mass audience, right? I would suggest that you looking for influencers, especially for YouTubers, football players, TV personalities, and singers. They could do I don't know, like promoted posts, endorsements, and stuff like that. And these really influence the Colombian market. The general public loves local and international sports. Therefore, it is a good insight to target your ads based on interest if you would like a mass audience reach. Business-to-business relationships are better developed during face-to-face meetings. We have noticed that potential clients, prospects, they're not really keen on online Skype meetings, but they prefer that they see you, that you're real. So yeah, that sometimes happens. We need to go from one visit clients from one place to the other. What I would suggest is, if you are launching your campaigns over here, that you find the right partner in terms of, we're talking about an agency, which has a proven track record in running successful campaigns that have been directed to a similar target audience, and also experience in marketing similar products and services. And also make sure that team members are fully qualified, certified, in-house, and the most important is that they are bilingual. That's it from my end. If you have any questions, I would be very happy to answer them during the Q&A. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeff, for that advice. I would like to invite anyone who is currently viewing the webinar, if you do have any questions for any of the speakers, just a reminder that there is a chat button in the panel at the bottom of your screen. On that, you can see the chat panel open up, and you can type a question in there. There is also the opportunity to submit further questions if nothing's coming to mind at the moment at gatewaytrade.com, and we would be happy to get back to you with an answer. I see that we do have one question. Perhaps I will put this to Maurizio first. When working on co-production with Canadian companies, are you dealing in Canadian dollars, US dollars, or Colombian pesos?
Hi, well, we can deal in any currency. It very much depends on the preference of the production company with which we will co-produce. I guess that for a Canadian company will be in Canadian dollars, and that's perfectly okay. In my experience working with companies from the United States, I've done it both in American dollars and in pesos. You just have to take in mind that if you do it in pesos, you have to take in mind the fluctuations in exchange rate, which usually is larger than the fluctuation between the Canadian dollar and the American dollar. So any currency is fine for us. We can do it in any of those.
Okay, good. Thank you. And Jeff, same question to you. You're in a kind of business. What currency are you usually dealing with when you deal with North American customers? And I'll probably add to that, what method of payment is typical?
We're fine with working with US dollars, Canadian dollars. It is perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Another question is, what is the pace of business? What can Canadians expect in terms of the pace of business? And does it take longer to get to the agreement stage if you're negotiating with a Colombian company? Perhaps, Jeff, I'll shoot that one to you as well. Hello?
Jeff, or can you repeat the question, Theo, please?
Hello. Yeah,
Jeff, I'm putting this question to you. What is the pace of business like? What can Canadians expect for doing business with the Colombians? Does it take longer to get to the agreement stage?
I can speak about Room for Media. Since we've started doing business over here, we always work with clients across the globe. So we are used to fast pace. Usually we do a project scope, then we head into the contract, and then we get started. So we are used to deal with clients across the globe, and we know that time is very valuable, and we have everything, all the process set in place to make sure that we can get into action as soon as we come to an agreement. And then regarding communications, right? I mean, with Canadian companies and with companies across the globe, we can use all kinds of online meeting platforms, right? So yeah, and if it's a big project, we're open to have face-to-face meetings as well.
Okay, great. Thanks, Jeff.
Theo, Mauricio would like to add to that.
Yeah, I'll back what Jeff just said, especially in the documentary market. Current affairs is very trendy, and current affairs they require a very quick turnover. So we have to reply very fast to get those contracts signed, and the money is wired, commence principal photography as soon as the event is taking place. So I guess that it's on a case-by-case basis, but speaking for Explora, and I guess that for Lamar is very similar. In our case, it has to be very fast. Otherwise, there are no documentaries to produce.
Okay, very good. I'm just going to just jump ahead here a little bit, and I think this is probably a good question for Camilo at Colombia. Has a business that relates to children in STEM, teaching children robotics and coding, and they are interested in what sorts of companies would be able to work with them in terms of developing prototypes.
The schooling is changing. Last night we were talking about with the Ministry of ICT was in a seminar last night telling us what is happening with the new curriculum for schooling, as little as preschool, really. I mean, primary school, secondary school, they are going through changes so that the kids start learning or increase, because I mean some schools are already implementing some of the robotics and some of the programming that is necessary for the new skills for the people and the youth in Colombia. Is that is probably not being taught in enough schools as of today, but it is a government plan to increase. And not only the government, the private sector is also part of these initiatives that will be able to give the schools the opportunity to teach their kids, new skills that probably are not part of the teaching materials as of today. But it's, especially, well, it's also good to mention on this webinar that this year is an election year for us in Colombia and many other countries in Latin America. So the new governments, the new candidates are also definitely taking education for the new skills into their proposals for the next 4 years.
Very good, thanks, Camilo. And I'll add that for that viewer that asked that question, in our current Gateway to Trade program, where 27 companies are being trained to export their services and looking at the Canadian marketplace, there are a number of companies that are directly involved in gamification and training, especially in terms of applying animation and VR and augmented reality techniques, specifically to education and training. So I would invite you to get in touch with us directly regarding that, or visit gatewaytotrade.com/Colombia, where you can view one-page profiles of all of the companies that are in our program. And I think you see a number of companies that could meet your need regarding the question.
I believe we have one more question here. If you can read it out loud, please.
Right. So the question is, what is the appetite for VR and AR Colombian marketplace from a consumer and brand perspective?
Is that probably for Jeff? Could Jeff answer that question?
Well, I mean, in terms of Room for Media, we do not have experience in VR and AR. However, we have other types of technologies that we use, such as interactive videos and personalized videos. What I can tell you is that any new technology which is used, which gives viewers, prospects, a new experience, then that is going to be kind of a step ahead of your competitors.
Thanks, Jeff. And Camilo, just in answering that previous question, you mentioned that there are quite a lot of companies in our program that are dealing directly in VR and AR.
Right.
Is that because they see the market opportunity abroad, or is that because there is a growing VR and AR desire or consumption in Colombia itself?
I mean, I gotta be honest to you, to everyone in this webinar, like for some reason, the domestic market doesn't grow as fast as the international market. Companies here are not limited to the domestic market. Their solutions are addressing needs from the US, from Canada, from Mexico, from Brazil. I mean, because they probably adopted the VR and AR technologies faster than us. But what happened is that this year we have seen an increase in demand from companies that are traditionally, we wouldn't really put them on our radar, in that they will be demanding VR and AR, but because this is an international or a global trend, they have been asking for quotation. They have been asking for, how does it work? How do I do it? How do I implement it? How long does it take for me to implement the solution for VR and AR? So the Colombian companies are turning their attention also to local market to respond to that demand. But the good thing here is that there is already an expertise built within a lot of Colombian companies that are providing solutions in AR and VR. So there's a good level of maturity for responding to local market and for overseas.
Great, thank you, Camilo. And I think there is one other question here directed to Jeff. Becoming more acceptable to do introductions by Skype, or is face-to-face still the key to success? So it's that question of, Can we still do business in the virtual, or is face-to-face the thing that's going to seal the deal?
I think this is changing. I mean, especially like when you're dealing with teams, which are kind of startups, right? And they're very open to the digital world. I think that is more acceptable, right? Like in any business and in any doing business with any country or any company around the world, I think when they are small projects, right, and when it's kind of small businesses, it's okay to have kind of a purely online commercial relationship. But then when you're dealing with big projects, big deals, I think each and every party would like to have a chat, and meet up, get to know each other. But I think initial introductions, I mean, on Skype, it's perfectly fine.
Great, thanks, Jeff.
No problem.
So I see that we have gone a bit over time here. I appreciate everyone's patience in staying on the line. If anyone does have any further questions, please do submit to info@gatewaytotrade.com. Visit us at gatewaytotrade.com/Colombia for information about what's coming up over a couple of months in our program, and to view the profiles of the companies that are currently in our program as well. We will have recorded virtual pitch sessions coming up throughout the month of March. We'll let you know about those as they happen, and you can choose which ones to view depending on your interest, your sector vertical interest. And please do get in touch with us if there are any of the companies that you see on gatewaytotrade.com/Colombia that are of particular interest to you. Please get in touch with us at info@, and we can arrange a Skype meet and greet. And also, as I mentioned at the top of the webinar, we do have an market visit to Southern Ontario happening at the end of April. I do invite you to stay in touch for further details on the events and the B2B matchmaking opportunity will be available at that time. So again, I want to thank everyone for attending. Thank Interactive Ontario and the Invest Hamilton Niagara Partnership for promotional support, and to TFO Canada and Pro Colombia for supporting Gateway to Trade. Thanks very much, and have a great day.